A lot of times when I'm traveling, I would prefer to have the video facing forward. I actually would like for you guys to have an opportunity to see what I see rather than looking at my ugly mug. I don't necessarily like the talking head concept or the monologue. I actually prefer to kind of narrate. So hopefully you can find value in that. As you may have noticed, this video is probably going to be a little bit different than previous videos. First of all, the introduction that I did. I am in this season 1.9 moving into season 2, and I wanted to introduce possible introductions. So I have a few songs that I've kind of been bouncing around, and also what kind of video or images that I want to accompany it. A good friend of mine, John Wedgeworth, and others have made suggestions that I should come up with an introduction that's a little bit more detailed, specifically towards myself, Sarah, and some of the experiences that I've had so far. And as I go through other YouTube content creators, I have seen that there are different styles, so different variations, whether it's a talking head introduction, music and video, or combination of. So I'm just kind of playing with that right now as I get ready to move into season 2. And I'm not going to speak on it too much, but I will say that I also would prefer to travel in a way that is not rushed. So as I was leaving Cow Lake, I was moving towards Tacoma with a purpose. I had somewhere that I needed to be at a specific time. And I know that there are going to be times that I am going to be heading to a specific location. I understand that. I get that. There are going to be times whenever I'm not going to be able to do as much as I want to. And again, I'm going to touch on that in the next video, because I actually did that with the camera turned, I believe, looking towards my ugly mug. Like I said, I'm not necessarily interested in doing all the time. Sometimes I just prefer to kind of narrate as I drive. In keeping with the theme of Lewis and Clark, I wanted to kind of go over a few things as I was leaving Cow Lake and heading deeper into Washington, heading west, of course. I had an opportunity to come across, obviously, the Columbia River. The Columbia River is one of the largest rivers in the country, and it's the river that brought them, as they were going through the passes, quite a bit of the route as they were heading west. So from the mouth of the Missouri River, they were able to reach the Columbia River and begin heading west through the mountains. Much of what they saw as they were coming across the mountains was actually pretty dejecting for them. It's a whole lot different than the way that I was traveling. They were doing a lot of portaging, which is basically coming out of the river, carrying what they need past barriers, whether it's waterfalls or rapids, and getting to other areas of the river where they could actually travel. Now, at this point, they are actually going downstream, so it is a little bit quicker than what they had been experiencing, but they also experienced quite a few more rapids and obviously the mountains that they came across. And I always found it kind of interesting as I was reading about Lewis and Clark and have studied on them over the years, is that they really didn't have a lot of information on what they were going to come across as they were heading west, especially across the mountains. And I do know that whenever they found the mouth of the Missouri and were able to top the mountain and saw on the other side of that mountain more ranges, and it continued like that quite a few times as they came across different ranges within the Rocky Mountains. They were quite dejected, but it didn't stop them. They definitely kept moving forward, which speaks to the resolve that they had to actually map out the area. One of the things that I will say as far as going through the mountains is it definitely gives me an opportunity to really think about what it is that I'm experiencing and be a little more introspective when I'm by myself. That's something that I'm definitely learning is going to be a very interesting aspect of my travels, is that I am going to have the opportunity to be a whole lot more introspective. Right now I am not working. I have submitted my resignation and have finished up with my last day of work. It was actually this last week, date-wise, about a month or so after this video came or was recorded. And there has been a considerable amount of rain in Texas of late, over the last month and a half, which is great because I know that in Texas we need it. But what it also has done is it has precluded me from having the opportunity to continue with my build, primarily with the cuts and then the finishing portion of it, because it's very difficult to sand and stain and varnish if it is continually wet, or at least very, very high humidity. And so with the rain and the humidity, it has kind of slowed me down a little bit. But I am going to forge forward. I am going to get this done as quickly as possible. If I can't get the build done fairly quickly, I'm going to plan another trip that is that's going to take me, well, keep that close to my chest. I will introduce that in much the same way that I did whenever I took the trip out east to Georgia, and this current trip as I head out west to Washington, including the historical aspects of it and the route that I took and the reason that I took the route that I took. So I hope that you find value in this. I hope that it is something that you can share with your family and friends, perhaps like it if you do, and consider subscribing if it's something that you would be interested in. I look forward to getting some feedback from you guys, and I certainly wish you all the best, always. Actually something that's not an oddity here. The amount of rain that falls in Washington, that which makes it over the pass, falls as snow on this side. That is a huge pile of snow there, and of course it is very prevalent. A lot of snow falls here, and it is the 30th of April, one day before the 1st of May. And there's this much snow on the ground still. Of course, that's Snoqualmie Pass. Just stopped to grab some gas, and I'm back on the road, headed to Tacoma.
Remember, I was laughing in all the photos that you took, but now it looks like acting, like we were fiction in a book. Guess it's the way it goes, and I will never know why you let me go. Look to the left, look to the right, nothing can stop me in the night, like I am leaving all the bad stuff and trying to remain so strong. I